What is going on, everyone? Nick and Millie here again, and we're back here in Treasure Cay. It's been blowing like hell for the past couple days, so we haven't really been able to do much. We've just been hanging around the islands. Yes, but today it is a stunning day. Once the exposure fixes, you can see how beautiful it is. Blue skies, flat water. And so I think today we're gonna go over to Green Turtle, swim with some sea turtles, maybe do the whole New Plymouth thing, and just hang out. Come hang out with us. It's going to be a fun day regardless of what we do. I'm going to show you guys kind of how it's done, what there is to do over at Green Turtle in New Plymouth, so come hang out with us. Because the weather was forecasted to be so bad the days that we were over there for this trip, we didn't take any of our own boats, and so we didn't have the Bahama 41 or anything like that. And so our only option to go out on a boat was to go ahead and rent a boat, which obviously I would much rather have my own boat there, but the renting works just fine. Treasure Rentals and Wilson, they have great boats to choose from. They're very well kept, clean, reliable boats. I'll go ahead and put the contact for them down in the description if anyone is interested. But today we got a 29-foot Sea Hunt. The boat was very clean. It had working GPSs, reliable motors, a bunch of seating. Really, it's all I could ever ask for in a rental boat. So we all piled in the rental boat and headed out on the way to go to Green Turtle to feed some sea turtles first. I've talked about this little cut in a lot of my other videos coming out of Treasure Cay, but when you come out, once you get past the fuel dock, you have the main marked channel, but then if you take a quick left, you can kind of follow the seawall all the way out into what is kind of known as the shortcut. And if you know what you're doing, it's a super fun little route. It's super twisty, and so it almost feels like you're kind of in a race boat. It's just a lot of fun if you know what you're doing. If you're unfamiliar with the water, I do not advise it. It'd be very easy to mess up the lower units and run aground. But if you do know what you're doing and you know the area, it's a ton of fun to take this route instead of the main channel. Something that doesn't come through the camera very well is just how rough it was. The camera has a way of flattening everything out and making bigger seas look a lot smaller than they are. But getting around Sandy Point and the Whale Key area was very rough and very wet in this rental boat. Even though there was no wind today, it had still been blowing 25-30 knots for the past 5 days, and so it takes a while for the sea to lay down fully, and so the sea just never had a chance to lay down. And so it was really rough. And on days like this in a rental boat, it really made me miss the 41 Bahama, where yes, it still would have been a little bumpy and up and down, but it would have been a piece of cake. Everyone on board would have been super comfortable, and I never would have had to blink an eye. But you know, you deal with what you're given, and this is much better than sitting on the island all day long. So we made it through Whale Key Channel area, and once we get behind, No Name and up to Green Turtle, you're pretty protected. All the offshore swell can't get to you because you have islands in between you and the ocean. And so once you get past that area, it's super calm, and the ride is like a pillow. Running along Green Turtle to get up to Coco Bay, which is on the north side of the island, I've always really enjoyed running down the island like this. You get to see all of the beautiful houses up on the bluff, the terrain, there's a little bit of elevation. It's just a really enjoyable ride with a ton of sights to see. Coming into Coco Bay here, you can see just how shallow this little bay gets. I think we're at just about a mid-tide here. I really wouldn't advise anyone to come in here at low tide in any sizable boat. I have done it before in the Bahama 41, but it's way too close for comfort, and I definitely would not advise it. But getting in there is well worth it to feed all of the sea turtles that you're about to see. When you come into Coco Bay, there is a public dock there, so you can just dock your boat right there, walk up the dock and hang out in this little beachy area. It's a beautiful spot, and the sea turtles there are pretty trained that humans bring them food. So if you bring squid, they'll come straight up to you. You can hand feed the turtles. It's awesome. So without wasting some time, let's go get to feeding some turtles. as you just saw, we had an amazing time playing with the sea turtles. We didn't even bring any food and they all still came up to us and let us touch them and play with them and all of that good stuff. If you showed up with squid, you would have way more than that, and you can do whatever you want with these turtles. It's a really cool time and I highly, highly recommend it for anyone in the Abacos. But we were getting hungry, it was almost lunchtime, so we packed up our stuff, got in the boat, and took the short ride around to the Green Turtle Club to get some food. We had about an hour to kill, so we took it nice and slow and took in the sights and sounds along the way. I mentioned earlier in this video that I like going along the rock ledge because there's a lot to see, so that's exactly what we did, nice and slow on the way there. We saw the houses, we passed by the Bluff House, there's pretty beaches. When you're in the Abacos, do yourself a favor and take your time wherever you are going and just take in the natural beauty, because it is some of the most beautiful sights you'll ever see in your life. We made it to the Green Turtle Club, and in my opinion, this place has some of the best food in the entire Abacos. Every time I'm in the area, I make it a point to come to this restaurant because I really do enjoy it. It's got a great atmosphere, the food is great. It's very nice protected dockage for the boat. Overall, just a 10 out of 10 experience. They do also have a great marina if anyone's ever looking to keep a boat on Green Turtle. But we sat down, I treated myself to a little rum drink and to some tacos and enjoyed the afternoon with the family. Some very good friends of Melly and I who actually live over in Treasure Cay full time, they ended up taking their boat over to the Green Turtle Club for lunch as well, and they brought their two dogs, Hank and Tula, with them as well. So we visited with them before we left and had some much needed puppy therapy. We said goodbye to our friends, and this time of year when the sun sets at like 5:30 in the afternoon, the time is limited, so we hopped in the boat and headed off to our next stop, which is going to be Pineapples, my absolute favorite bar in the entire Bahamas right now. Once you come out of White Sand, which is where the Green Turtle Club is, and you make a left heading towards New Plymouth, Pineapples, it's right there on Black Sound Point on the Settlement Harbor side of that little peninsula, and if you don't know what you're looking for, it can be a little bit easy to miss. Pineapples has a very nice little dock, it's clean, it's well kept, but something that I do want to say is that if you guys are here during the high season, you know, during summertime, the 4th of July, late June, early July, dock space is very limited here, and so if you pull up here, it's advised that you dock using your stern anchor, which basically keeps your stern out, and then you put your bow into the dock, tie off the bow, and then you exit the boat off of the bow. It just makes it so a lot more boats can fit at the dock. So Pineapples is an awesome little bar on Green Turtle. It's pretty much just a small little yellow shack with a little pool that they just circulate salt water through. It's got a beautiful view overlooking the Sea of Abaco. The drinks are amazing, but they are extremely strong, so watch out. But it's one of the only bars in the area that doesn't break the bank to go there, and they have a true 2-for-1 happy hour. And it's just a super relaxing place, and during summer, because of the happy hour, it's a place where everyone gathers at the end of the day after they've been fishing or lobstering or doing whatever they're doing. They all kind of end their day there, so it becomes kind of like a social gathering place. If you haven't been to Pineapples, you need to put it on your list of things to do in the Abacos, because I guarantee you it'll become one of your favorite bars in the entire area. The last and final stop of our boat day is to the island just next to Green Turtle. It's called No Name Key. It's a very famous island. It's the island of the Abacos that has the swimming pigs. In the last 5 years, I think it was right before Dorian, they actually built a bar on this island as well. It's called Big O's. Personally, I really do not like going to No Name at all. You know, it's one of those things where you see the pigs, and once you've seen them, you know, it kind of loses its luster, and you realize kind of how touristy the island is now that they built this big bar. And I personally don't think the food is great at Big O's, and it's a little bit expensive for what you get, but I will say it is a very, very nice ambiance and a great bar for entertaining. So it's definitely worth stopping in if you're in the area, but it's not somewhere that I would go out of my way to make it a point to go to. If you've never seen the pigs, go see those, but if you've seen them, you know, once you've seen them, you've seen them. It kind of loses its luster. As we were leaving, a Bahamian pulled up in this Panga, and I absolutely love Pangas. I think they're super utilitarian, super basic, but just awesome boats. And he had this thing tricked out with a giant sound system and GPS and the whole 9 yards. So I really enjoyed seeing that boat. We ended up taking the scenic route home and going and swooping by the Treasure Cay beach to do a drive-by so we could go look at all the houses and all that stuff. What you're looking at right there, that's Treasure Sands, and that dock is their famous pink dock that was so famous among influencers and Instagram people and the whole 9 yards. But it's always a treat running down the Treasure Cay beach because it is pictures and words that do not do justice to how perfect this beach is. We quickly learned that taking that detour to take the scenic route along the Treasure Cay beach probably was not the best idea, because as we went out to get around Sandy Point, we had a head sea from all the ocean swell coming in, and so it was a soaking wet ride. It was rough. I had to go extremely slow to keep everyone on the boat safe and comfortable, and it just was not a fun time. So once we finally got around the island and we're heading back down Windward Beach here at Treasure Cay, it was a massive sigh of relief. It was absolutely brutal. How was it?
It was good.
Wet, rough, and it sucked. Miserable. Against all weather odds, we made it back to Treasure. A little bit wet, a little bit cold, but we made it back safely. And just want to show you all this house real quick. This red house used to be super big and fancy, and it's a shame to see it in such a rundown condition like this. But that's it for the video. Subscribe to the channel, like the video if you did, comment what you want to see, and I will see you guys in the next video.